Once upon a time, female rappers looked like this, and today's female rappers look more like this. Queen Latifah rapped about UNITY and won a Grammy for it. Today's female rappers rap about their WAP to get notoriety. I know some of you may be thinking or typing, men in hip hop talk about sex too, so what's the problem? I agree, hip hop culture is in general very hypersexual, but male rappers don't have to commodify their own bodies. They get to be fully clothed whilst being surrounded by half-naked women, but that's not the case for female rappers. Female rappers have to sell their own bodies, and they're selling it to the male gaze. Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been here for a minute, I love you so much for coming back. So today I want to talk about female rap and the female rap industrial complex and why it has some problems. So I think that we're definitely witnessing a shift on who gets elevated and who doesn't, who gets to be famous and who doesn't get to be famous, what kinds of women in rap get a platform versus what kinds of women don't get a platform in rap. And I want to talk a little bit about why that is and why I take issue with it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a subject that I often broach on this channel, and I have time after time. I actually finally have a whole playlist up where you can check out a whole assortment of videos that I discuss this on, and that particular topic is hypersexuality. In Dr. Patricia Hill Collins' book, Black Feminist Thought, Dr. Collins points out the 4 controlling images and stereotypes of Black women that we most often see in the media, which seek to maintain Black women's subordination. Those 4 controlling images are the mammy, the matriarch, the welfare mother, and the Jezebel. In female rap, we see a particular prevalence of the Jezebel trope. So I feel like we are finding that with female rappers, they are forced to be hypersexual. I say forced because I would hope that these women have more to their personalities, and I know that they have more to their personality, and their whole lives don't revolve around sex. But the industry, which unfortunately is led by men, y'all are gonna say, oh, you're a misandrist, you hate men, oh my God. But honestly, I don't hate men, I hate misogyny. And unfortunately, there are a lot of male executives. Most record labels are ran by men, and a lot of those men make decisions on who gets to be elevated and who doesn't. Of course, these women are willingly choosing to participate in a culture of objectification, and they're definitely in part responsible for that. And while some of these women may be pressured to take on these identities, you can argue that others may be genuinely hypersexual. Either way, those with the most power are setting the standard that this is the way that every female rapper has to present in order to be successful. And that is the problem. I think of the rapper No Name, for example. She makes very conscious rap music, and yet she has never been afforded the opportunity to have a flourishing career in rap. There's Rhapsody and a couple of others, and none of these ladies get the spotlight, unfortunately. The ones who get elevated are the ones who play into the trope of hypersexuality.
All of these women are out here buying into all of the shit that all of these is saying that's being written by a dude. This is a dude's perspective on how a woman should be talking, and then the other women listen to her and be like, ooh, that's how she talking, that's how I'm talking, girl, yeah, girl.
Hold up.
But meanwhile, all of these words came from a man. I don't call that empowerment, I call that impimpment.
We see that Black women in media are often relegated to stereotypes and having to perform very limited displays of Black womanhood. That doesn't mean that these women are bad people. I want to point that out. It doesn't mean that they deserve harm to be done to them, you know, like in Megan Thee Stallion's case. It's still protect Black women all day, every day. Megan Thee Stallion is a whole human being. She's smart and she's educated and she's beautiful, and she deserves to be able to show more sides of her personality than having to rely so heavily on her body and rapping about really hypersexual subject matters. I'm like, is this really what we've been reduced to as women? That we're talking about licking and sucking and effing and this and that?
Oh my God, is this who we are? Is this what we represent? Telling somebody to kiss it, lick it, suck it, stick it, F you.
Like, is this us? Like, why is this the representation? Which, again, representation politics, I talk about that all the time. It's not everything, but it is something. You know, it does mean something to have Black women be able to show a rich tapestry of our personalities and our feelings and our humanness and our womanhood that is not always linked to our poom pooms and what they can or cannot do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want more for women. I don't want women to have to always be relegated to using our bodies to get attention and to get airplay. That is, for me, the crux of a lot of the problems with the female rap industrial complex, is that there is no variety. I feel like there was a shift. Like, we used to have, back in the day, rappers like Queen Latifah and MC Lyte and Salt and Peppa, who would be really sensual in their lyrics and talk about sex and sexuality. It was so much less vulgar than what it has now transformed into. And listen, for the girls who want vulgar, I want there to be able to be options. My argument isn't that those women don't have a right to exist and have a right to do that, but I want there to be variety. And right now, I'm just not seeing that. We literally had Cardi B tell us that when she released Be Careful, how that song wasn't doing the numbers. It wasn't doing the numbers. It wasn't performing. She was like, you guys didn't like it. You guys didn't support it when I made a song that wasn't hypersexual. So then she gave us WAP.
When I did Be Careful, people was talking mad shit in the beginning. Like, what the is this? This is not what I expected. I expected this. I expected that. So it's like, if that's what people ain't trying to hear, then all right, then I'm gonna start rapping about my pussy again.
And that's the thing, it's also up to us as fans. And a lot of you said this in my comment section of the Chloe Bailey video that I made about Chloe Bailey and how hypersexual she has been. A lot of you pointed out the fact that we as fans, we have to support the artists that do not play into that. We have to elevate them too. Young women and girls see these images and we often internalize them, and it leads to very harmful relationships with our bodies and our self-worth, because we can't measure up to this image that we're constantly seeing from these female rappers. And some of you may also be thinking or typing, it's not these women's job to be a positive influence on young girls. To that, I point you to a clip from my Chloe Bailey video. We understand that, yes, your parents are 100% responsible for instilling you with values and morality and all the things. But at the end of the day, you're going to go out into the world, you know, you're going to go to school and you're going to be surrounded by your friends. You're 16, you got your first job at the mall. As much as your parents can protect you or just instill values in you, you're still going to get on the internet and see all the things. You're going to get on the TikTok, okay? You're going to get on Instagram. You're going to get on social media. You're going to consume media, regardless of what your parents may or may not have instilled in you. And when it has become the norm, when it is popular to be so hypersexual all the time, even if your parents instilled something differently in you, most people are going to want to flock to what is popular when you're young and your brain is still developing. Think of yourself as a young girl, a young woman, or even your current self. Have you ever found yourself taking on a hypersexualized identity to be seen, to be noticed, or to feel desired by a man? And according to Common Sense Media, the lesson that girls should be concerned with their appearance and their sexiness is communicated in the media and targeting youth beginning in early childhood. And this is according to a study that was conducted in 2007 as well as 2013. And that's all cited in there if you want to check that out on your own. And there is evidence that exposure to appearance-focused TV content increases body dissatisfaction amongst 5 to 8-year-old girls, which again was found in a study. And by adolescence, media exposure is predictive of the internalization of media appearance-based ideals for both girls and boys. Media messages teach girls that looking sexy is often preferred or expected and is equated to popularity and romantic success. One consequence is self-objectification, such as viewing oneself as an object whose external appearance matters more than internal qualities. Self-objectification is associated with many negative outcomes, including diminished academic academic performance, lowered body self-esteem, increased anxiety, lowered confidence in math ability, body shame, and depressive symptoms. I know someone's gonna say, white women in music are hypersexual too. Why are you singling out black women? Because white women get to be hypersexual, of course, but it doesn't have to be their entire personality. Katy Perry is able to have a #1 hit when she's hypersexual and have a #1 hit when she's soft and vulnerable. Miley Cyrus gets to be hypersexual and be soft and vulnerable and still be successful. Christina Aguilera gets to be hypersexual and be soft and vulnerable and still be successful. And there's also white female artists like Adele, Kelly Clarkson, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, and so many more that don't have to rely on hypersexuality pretty much at all to be successful. But when Cardi B releases Be Careful, and that's not as successful as when she releases WAP, it tells us that the fans do not support female rappers when they choose not to be hypersexual. And unfortunately, neither does the record label. Now, Roxanne Shante, who was one of the top female rappers of the 1980s before the hypersexual archetype dominated the female rap industry, spoke to Angie Martinez about how the video vixen era of the 90s and early 2000s led to the shift.
What about you when you came in the game? Because women at the beginning of hip hop, I feel like we're not over-sexualized.
From my generation, when you come into it, like they say, well, it was all about battle rhymes and battle raps. And so I walked in with a certain amount of confidence. That's when I felt the politics of hip hop. So then what they did was they made the video girl more important than the female rapper.
Oh, let's sexualize the woman in hip hop.
Exactly. So now what happens is the talent that the female rapper now possesses is overshadowed by sexualizing the female in hip hop. So then you have the next generation of female rapper who comes out who says, okay, now I'm sexy and I'm talented. You see?
Now what?
Exactly. So now what are you gonna do?
And by the way, I just want to say, there's nothing wrong if that's you. If that's you and that's
you own your sexuality.
and that's what
Ain't
she's
no wrong with
saying.
it.
But when it became a requirement,
That's
for
when it
all
was wrong.
women, that's when it turned left.
That's a fact.
Missy Elliott talked about feeling that, quote, maybe I gotta go a little tighter and be sexy to be more acceptable after Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown took over the scene. There is so much pressure as a Black woman to have a certain aesthetic of being slim thick and having super laid down baby hairs and all of those things. Again, similarly to hypersexuality, I believe that women who want to participate in that should be entitled to. But when I'm seeing on Instagram, everybody looking the same, everybody's posing the same, everybody's just the same. There is no individuality anymore on social media. And I think, again, that's wrong because nerdy Black girls matter too. Awkward Black girls matter too. Like, it's a lot of work to be a baddie. It's a lot of work to get your makeup super snatched and all that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to keep up with, going to the nail salon like every week or every other week or whatever and getting really elaborate long nails done all the time. A lot of work and a lot of money that a lot of Black women, quite frankly, don't have access to. You know what I'm saying? And the pressure that this is what you need to be attractive. And a lot of Black women don't have that booty. I can only imagine. I got some booty on me. I get it from my mama. No BBL here, okay? But I can only imagine not having a booty and being a Black woman, how insecure that makes you feel in our current climate of baddies. Like, having everybody be a baddie. Like, oh my God. Like, not everybody has boobs or an ass. The ideal is still being skinny. Okay, but it's having a really small stomach, big boobs, and a fat ass, and like skinny legs, and the thigh gap, and all of that. That is the aesthetic, which is unattainable to most people because most people cannot get that body type without having plastic surgery. And as I've said 100 million times on this channel, most people don't have access to plastic surgery. And I know the 90s thin aesthetic is making its comeback mostly amongst non-Black women, which I'm making a video about that, so stay tuned. But still within the Black community, I feel that the BBL epidemic is still ongoing. Another trend that I commonly see amongst Black female rappers and the ones who are elevated and the ones who get to be the most successful is, unfortunately, colorism. You see that the ones who are charting the highest, who get to have the most hits, the ones who are elevated are the ones who tend to be lighter skinned. You see that there is still very much discrimination against women who are darker complected. Now we have Megan Thee Stallion, who Megan is not dark skinned, but she's certainly not light skinned. She's more of a medium brown. And I think that her complexion and her not being light skinned was yet another reason why you saw the pylon against her, is because she is not light skinned and people don't associate her as much with femininity and softness and victimhood. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why it was so easy for people to dump on Megan Thee Stallion, to bully Megan Thee Stallion, because they associated her darker complexion, her height, her body, all of that with masculinity. And so you see that happening when it comes to Black female rappers. You see that the ones who get to be looked at, the ones who get to have a platform, are often the ones who are lighter in complexion. I think hip hop in and of itself, it's a boys club. It's a big boys club, and we see that women have to make decisions in order to be visible and to get attention. I didn't make this video to rag on women and to say that, you know, female rappers are horrible, because obviously the root of this is patriarchal, just misogynistic rap culture. A lot of it is that. So I do want to name that and call that out. But at the same time, I just really do want some accountability too with these women, because we know women, there are plenty of women in rap that reap the rewards of misogyny and do it gladly. They bask in it. They love it. I'm not going to name no names, but you know who I'm talking about. So we see that women are just as capable of doing harm to other women. And that's where you get the mean girl culture that I think is also really prevalent in female rap culture. Literally every other week, it seemed like there were feuds between female rappers that I was seeing on Twitter. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And it's just always a competitiveness of like, there can only be one top rap girl. Like, there's not room for all the other girls to flourish. Like, why? Like, why can't everybody flourish at the same time? There are women who are very much seeking the representation of being able to see women that look like them on their screens and be able to consume music that is so much more conscious than just licking and sucking and effing and all that. We need to encourage women that we can show all sides of ourselves, not just that one side of ourselves, to be successful. So in conclusion, I think a lot of this boils down to just me feeling like we really need to have options. And I've said this about 100 million times on this channel. I just want there to be space for different kinds of artists. And I think in hip hop in general, we just find that it's very limited in scope, even the subject matters that are even allowed to be discussed. So I guess what I'm saying in conclusion is, yeah, I just want to be able to see women who are, number one, not hypersexual, right? Awkward Black girls, dorky Black girls, socially conscious Black girls, all the women. I want to see all different kinds of women get a chance to have the spotlight and have a chance to shine, right? And I also want to see women be able to discuss different topics that's just not their sex life and how much they enjoy having sex. Like, I want to see women be able to have different subject matters discussed in their music to be successful. And also, again, I want to see Black girls who, you know what, they're not interested in, you know, having that really unattainable body that can only be accomplished by plastic surgery. I want to see options for women, okay, aesthetically and personality-wise, all the things. And then lastly, I want to see diversity and who gets elevated and the complexions of women that get elevated, not only in the female rap industry, but in the music industry as a whole. So that's really all I'm pushing for, is at the end of the day, diversity, you know, for there to be different kinds of women who are elevated. So I definitely want to hear all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I would love to know in the comments down below. And if you really like this video, then definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you want more content like this, like I said, I have a whole hypersexuality playlist where I discuss this and how Black women are forced to be hypersexual in the music industry. Definitely take a moment to subscribe, because I'm not going to stop talking about this anytime soon. I have no plans to do that. So definitely look forward to seeing you all in the next video. And in our closing words that we have at the end of all of our videos on this channel, I just want to say that nobody's free until everybody's free. And thank you so much for watching once again, and can't wait to see you next time.